Today I'm replacing the alternator belt, also known as the drive belt. Mine's shredded driving home on the freeway, so that's what's left of my belt. Unfortunately, I did a little bit of damage, tore up my clutch cable a tiny bit, but hopefully it'll survive. Didn't cause any drivability issues, just since it's attached to the pump. My temperature gauge was going way up. Fortunately, it was cold enough that I was able to limp home. But other than that, no drivability problems. It bumped the AC belt off a little bit, so I have to get that out of the way anyways to replace the drive belt, so it's fine. Usually I can do this without removing the radiator or the fan shroud, but with the cold temperatures it caused some problems for me, getting everything loose, so I ended up just saying forget it and made it a little easier, removed my my radiator and the fan shroud. 4 bolts on the fan shroud, 2 bolts on the radiator, and 2 hoses, well, 3 hoses, but one just slips right off. Pull the radiator out of the way, little maneuvering to get it past the fan shroud, then fan shroud. Loosen the top bolts on the AC compressor, both bottom bolts on the AC compressor, so because it's the belt tensioner, remove the belt. And eventually when you put on the new belt, on the drive belt, you're going to have to do the same with the alternator. Top 1, bottom 2. Take off the AC compressor belt first, because you have to get behind it to put the alternator belt on. Take that off. Once this is loose, pop it off, slips around the fan. Then just slip it back over the fan, or slip the drive belt back over the fan, put it in place. Same thing with the AC belt. And then reinstall everything. It's a fairly easy process to explain, fairly easy to do, it's just a little time consuming. And it's been kind of chilly the last couple of days, so I haven't really wanted to touch it. I got the AC belt off. Don't know if you can see it, but it's definitely damaged. That part that's a little fatter than the rest, I can see light through it. It's torn. It's damaged from the drive belt that's shredded on the road. So I'll replace that too. And then the 4040-372, it looks about the right size for the AC compressor belt. Belts are in place. Alternator and AC compressor as belt tensioners are both tightened down. I actually ended up having to get a different belt for the alt belt. It's 404-0315. The one that I tried to use earlier wasn't workable, and I found a store that had the one that I knew that did work. But when installing the fan shroud, place it back in here, and then you're going to have to do some wedging and twisting, and be very careful. If you have a standard, be very careful of that clutch cable. And then after the fan shroud, place the radiator and you can bolt everything back up. Everything's back assembled. It took forever to get the fan shroud bolts back in place from the bottom. The fan shroud and the radiator slide right back in just as is. Just make sure you put the fan shroud in first, and then the radiator. They went back in way better than they came out. This radiator took almost exactly a gallon of coolant, and now that it's all assembled, I'm going to test drive it. Woohoo! Runs great! I was a little worried that there was a mechanical issue which caused the belt to shred, but everything looks fine. After you've run it till it's hot and the thermostat opens, make sure you check the coolant level again and top it off.